Question I often hear is how can possession of marijuana be legally on the state side and illegal on the federal side? And so the first thing you have to understand is many different states have made marijuana legal, whether it be recreational use or medical use or some other kind of use. And so all of those states, it's legal to use and to possess marijuana. But on a federal level, it is illegal to possess marijuana. So how can those two interact? Well, the first thing you have to understand is that Congress can make laws on things that affect interstate commerce. And this comes into the Interstate Commerce Clause. And if we look at it right here, right here is the Interstate Commerce Clause in Section 8. And right here it says to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with Indian tribes. And so what that really means is that the Congress has the power to regulate commerce in between states. So anything that could be affected, whether it be a price, supply and demand, um, they can make laws on anything that is affected by those things. And if you think about it, that's really almost anything, really. So anything that passes state lines, the Congress can make a law to regulate it. So if we look right here, this is the Commerce Clause refers to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution, which gives Congress the power, like I just said, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states, Indian tribes. Congress has often used Commerce Clause to justify exercising legislative power over the activities of the state and their citizens, leading to significant and ongoing controversy regarding the balance of power between the federal government and the states. It goes on to say that the Constitution does not explicitly define the word commerce, leading to wide debate as to what powers Section 8, Clause 3 grants Congress. And so it has gone up to the Supreme Court many times. What exactly does commerce mean? Because it can be interpreted in so many different ways. The Congress has the power to make laws, but the judicial branch, the Supreme Court of the United States, is the one who interprets those laws. And so they have put commerce in there. And so the Supreme Court determines what exactly does commerce mean. And the Supreme Court has gone back and forth in broadening the powers that Congress has ability to make laws over and limiting it over the years. And so they keep broadening and limiting, broadening and limiting. And so the question is, does marijuana and the possession affect interstate commerce? And in Gonzalez versus Raich, R-A-I-C-H, with a citation of 545 US 1, and this was in 2005 when the Supreme Court determined this. They ruled that under the Commerce Clause of the United States, Congress may criminalize the production and use of homegrown cannabis, even if state law allows its use for medicinal purposes. And in that, the Supreme Court decided that any use of marijuana affects supply and demand in the national market, saying that Congress has the right to regulate it and create laws that regulate it. So that's how Congress can regulate marijuana. And so the next question is, how can state and federal law be in direct conflict with one another? At a state level, it's legal to possess marijuana in some states. At a federal level, it's illegal to possess marijuana. And that's where we get into the supremacy clause. And that's called preemption. Preemption means that one set of laws overtakes another or controls over another one when there is a direct conflict between those laws. And so we have to look at Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution that says, this Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound by it, thereby anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. That's really just saying that federal laws control over state laws whenever there's direct conflict. So in this situation, when it's illegal on a federal level and legal on a state level, depending on what state you're in, the federal law controls. So technically, everywhere in the United States, it is still illegal to possess marijuana. Now, the next question you might be asking is, well, why aren't there a whole lot more people arrested for possession of marijuana if it's still illegal? If it's still illegal nationwide? And that's a great question. And that brings in a little bit of the feds really don't have the resources to prosecute possession of marijuana. There are so many people that use marijuana these days and that possess it, and they would literally go bankrupt just trying to enforce this law. And so they have to be very careful in how they use their resources, whether it be their agents or their prosecutors in prosecuting these crimes. And so the main ones that they really go after are those that possess a whole lot of them or possess with intent or grow. So that's the ones that they focus on. So just because it is illegal doesn't mean that they are necessarily going to prosecute you for it. So if you get caught with marijuana by a federal agent, what are the punishments for those crimes of possession of marijuana? So for the first offense of possession of marijuana, it's a misdemeanor with up to 1 year in jail and a minimum of $1,000 fine. And for your second offense, it's actually a felony with a minimum of $2,500 fine and anywhere from 15 days to 2 years in jail. Then you get your third possession of marijuana charge. That's a felony as well, and it just increases from there. But there's a big difference between possession and possession with intent. Possession with intent means you're selling it and distributing it. That carries a much heftier fine. And so for possession with intent to distribute of less than 50 plants or 50 kilograms, you would be looking at up to 5 years in prison and up to a $250,000 fine. So that's how marijuana can be legal on a state side and illegally still on a federal side. To learn more about President Biden pardoning those with marijuana charges, check this next video out.